Hi, I'm Robert Reil with Bizhackz Systems. Today I want to talk to you about why working harder isn't fixing your business. If you worked harder, why would you be spending the time watching this? You wouldn't. You'd be working. So you're trying to figure out some sort of solution with what can you do to make things better. So you're not lazy. You're not uncommitted. You're obviously committed because you're here watching. You're not unaware because you've done the steps to get where you are. So something's off. What is it? Your money moves. Money comes in, money goes out. That works. It's a little bumpy, but it does work, so you don't have a process problem there. Your leads come and go. You get your leads. Some of them stick, some don't. Maybe not the way you want to, but they come and go. But your momentum never quite sticks. Something's going on. This video is not about you having no motivation or you having no strategy. This video is about why effort stops working. You should be able to put in effort and have a linear return of your monetary income. It makes sense. If I do more work, I should get more income. So the next thing is, and I'm constantly aware of this, that people, they take courses. You got Tony Robbins, you got Grant Cardone, you got a number of them out there. They're learning about how business works, learning some trade secrets, some tools and things like that. That has its place. They understand funnels. They understand the marketing wisdom on how to use one and why. You're aware of a CRM, its purpose. Why do you have a database for your customers? What do you do with that information? They've been trained on what that is. But their marketing effort seems heavy. The decisions that you make feel risky. Your scaling feels dangerous when it should feel exciting. You should feel, wow, this is working. Let me do a little more and I'll double up my automated efforts and therefore I'll double my income. That should be exciting. But no, it feels a little scary somehow. And then pushing forward creates pressure, not relief. Because when you start making that let's grow step, it starts feeling like, oh, this might be a little too much. Why is that? But everybody feels it. And it's exhausting. It really is. It's like, gosh, am I ever going to get out of this grind? What's going on? Why can't I make it click? And that triggers self-blame. And then you start beating yourself up, you start feeling bad, you lose your motivation, you find some bad habits, whatever that is. And that's when you get stuck. Moving forward. So if you look for a pattern, you might want to find a pattern there. The definition of a pattern is once is an incident, twice is a coincidence, and 3 times is a pattern. I know this very well in my own life. I've been through the grinder and I've found patterns and had to figure out how to break them. And sometimes it's painful, but it works. When you find a pattern, the 3rd time, it is a pattern. So what is the pattern? Well, you got no stability. When you have no stability, you're thinking, maybe I need to add a tool. Maybe I need to add a channel or an offer. I need to add something because what I'm doing is not working. I need to add something. That's what everybody thinks, because you can only think about what you can see, but not what you can't see or what you can't envision. You can visualize a tool, a channel, or an offer, but you can't visualize some other things. So let's talk about what those might be. Going back to it, when you have more effort, you're going to put forth more activity and you're going to put forth more time. But if you're going back to the grind and you're not getting the results with that effort, you're just grinding. So it's a perpetual motion downhill in a downhill spiral. So all of that equals churn. C-H-U-R-N, like churning butter. It's just like a grind, a lot of resistance. And that adds complexity. Effort goes up and that leads to stability going down. You end up with no motivation, but you need to be working on your structure and your foundation. That's where the weakness is, and that's what you're not seeing. So if you start looking at your structure and your foundation, then we'll go to the next piece. You end up with a broken, weak system. That's what you have if you have problems with your structure and your foundation. And again, you have problems with those because you can't see them. If you can't see them, you can't fix them. So what does that look like? Well, first of all, it's not you. The problem is not you. It's that you can't see what you don't know and don't understand. So the next thing is, when you have a broken, weak system, you're going to overload it at some point. Like maybe a house in a hurricane. Maybe it's not built to handle the stresses. Or maybe a plumbing system that's got too much pressure. There's some backup in there and it's going to blow some seams. It's the same thing with a business process. It's the same thing. It's an engineered solution that you need to have in order to endure ebbs and flows and changes of direction. When you have an overloaded system, you're going to have cracks, you're going to have leaks, you're going to have stress, you're going to have failure, and it all can be fixed. And again, it's not you. So let's get into it. So all of this is a problem with system integrity. So we're going to get into system integrity. So the question you need to ask is, does my system have integrity? Am I able to plug those cracks, leaks, stresses, and failures? So does everything connect? Are there leaks anywhere? There's no leaks. If we put the pressure to it, it's just going to smoothly go through it. Is it going to endure the pressure? And then growth seems to work, but it collapses easily. So when things start growing, okay, here we go, boom, things break. What happened? Why did it happen? Well, that equals why your scaling feels risky. Because here we go again, something's gonna break. You just know it. You just know it. You don't know why or how. But you're ready. You're ready. It feels risky, but you're ready. But your system is not. Your system is not ready. Okay, let's go further. So Bizhackz lives here. This is what we do. We do systems. We're not educators. You've been the educator, you've done the Tony Robbins, you've done the Grant Cardone, you understand what all these things are and how they work and why they're there. That's not what we do. The education creates belief and interest. Okay, I can do this. I believe I can do this. I should do this. I'm interested in doing this. Okay, I'm going to do this. And it has its purpose. It got you here. It got me here. Then execution. Okay, education leaves the room. When you get to that point and you learned it, you know you can do it. Okay, here I am at the precipice. I'm ready to start my business and jump out. Okay, I'm done learning. Now I have to apply. Step out into it. Okay, you look up and say, now what? Uh-oh. Education leaves the room. Now you're standing there looking at infrastructure. New word. Systems. They either hold or they fail. You have to have a good system or you're going to just spin around and churn and wasting your time. So Bizhackz role, we don't give you inspiration. We give you containment. We give you stability. No leaks. Give you all the ways. Just think of it as a plumber. We got pipes and everything going around. We know all of the ways to have a stable environment, how to have no leaks, and how to be predictable. And the irony is that the more system complexity that's there, the more you need to have a clear mind. Right now you're in reactive mode. You're handling this and you're handling that. When your systems start to evolve and start getting some structure and some depth to them, then you're going to be able to get out of the churn and get out of reactive mode and start getting into objective mode and being proactive and saying, I think we need to build something that goes here, and then when it's good there, then it goes here. That's the level you need to be thinking at all the time. High-level CEOs, that's how they think. A lot of us with the smaller businesses, we're just churning and churning. So clarity of thought equals less noise, less churn in your mind, less reacting, and it equals more vision. So when you have more vision, you're able to see those steps and processes. You get that clarity. And more vision equals compartmentalization. Steps. And that's process flow. And you've seen process flows. Start here. If it fails, go there. If it wins, go here. If it fails, go there. Loops back, goes around. Process flow. So when you're able to see how things move through your business, you can start visualizing things and asking yourself, if it's good, what happens? If it's bad, what do we do? How do we make it good? Can we make it good? Should we make it good? How do we protect ourselves from risk? These kinds of things, when you're able to compartmentalize, then you're able to get to that, then you're able to get to that point. So imagine a Coca-Cola bottling company. So when Coca-Cola was invented, I'm sure they took a pot off the stove of some cooked or mixed mixture. Somebody had to put a funnel in a piece of glass, pour it in a bottle, and put a cap on it. That's kind of what's happening when you start a new business. And now look at it. You have a truck that comes in with a bunch of glass bottles. You have a forklift that comes here. It puts it there. The glass bottles get put on a conveyor belt. There's stress tests to see if they can hold pressure. I'm sure that they do that. They're probably washed. That's a process. What happens if something fails? What's the mechanism to put it on the fail track and maybe to fix it? What happens if the glass falls off the conveyor belt? How do we contain that mess? All these kinds of things till you get to the point where things can be so efficient they just go right down the conveyor belts. The liquid goes in, the cap goes on, the label goes on, gets put in the 6-pack, wrapped around a box, boom, 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 goes flying out the door. That's what we're doing digitally. With everything that's going on, Bizhackz supports automation and process flows in the digital world. And the end of that is you've got clarity. So now, what do we have? You're working harder, and it's not your solution. We've already talked about how it's not your solution. Effort is not equal to a stable, broken system. It's still a broken system, and you're going to churn yourself off to keep it from leaking out. Design is equal to a stable system. So if you design the system, you'll end up with what you want. Growth lasts when it's designed in. When you design in the growth, then it lasts because it can handle the pressure. So you want to scale by design, not by chance. Now I hope you got some clarity and an aha moment out of this. Thank you for your time.